Hey, sportsman, John Bergsman here from the Great Lakes Insider Fishing Report. And today we're really happy to have a really good friend of the show, Captain Dave Rommell from the Frankfort, Benzie County area of Northwest Michigan to give us a really good fishing report. I've noticed on his most recent posts some super big fish. Dave, what's going on up there at Frankfort?
You're absolutely right, John. The salmon we're catching here right now are giant fish. Last week we had two over 30 pounds. A
Wow.
lot of them in that 25 to 27 pound range. We're not getting the huge numbers, but with fish that big, you really don't need that many. You put 6 or 8 in the cooler and it's almost full to the top. So
Oh,
it's been
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've been seeing those posts. You've been writing fishing reports for us, and we post your pictures and follow you real closely. And I'm telling you what, I haven't seen over the last 8 or 10 days. I haven't seen a half a dozen fish quite that big in a long time off of the same boat. They are just massive.
Yep. Right now we're getting a lot of wind up here. So I don't know what the fishing report is over the last day or two.
Nope.
But prior to that, we were fishing them down there like 80 to 100 feet. Running a lot of spin doctors right now. That white with the pink dots has been really good for us all season. That's been probably our number one producer. Last few days, that the dark blue with the glow crush in the center, that's been doing real well on our downriggers down about 90 feet.
Yep. Yep. I know exactly that one. I'm just showing him that exact spin doctor. I have that
Oh,
one hanging right here.
oh, fantastic.
What's been the bait of choice behind the spin doctors, Dave?
That one's been kind of all over the board. We're running a lot of KRW flies right now.
Sure.
That aqua blue that he makes behind that blue spin doctor has been our best,
Yep.
and then also the big A behind that pink dots has been really good for us. We're just starting to get a few meat bites. I know some of the guys have been doing pretty well on it. Just in the last few days, we're
Right.
starting to get some meat to fire for us finally. I always do a little better on meat when the fish are deep for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. What's the primary if you guys going to go out there and you can't get in with you because I know you're booked like crazy and you got a pretty big tournament coming that I think you and Amanda are probably going to go out and fish that ladies tournament again, aren't you?
Yep, absolutely. We'll be out there on Friday. They did a real good job last year and
Oh,
got us into first place, so hopefully we can do that again.
yeah, that crew of wild women of yours knows how to reel in fish. That's for sure. What's been a good set? If you were going to set 10 rods out, obviously a couple of riggers, a high and a low diver on each side, and a couple of boards, couple two three boards. What are the board rods? What should a guy be looking to set out on his board rods just to keep some activity going on?
Right now, like I said, the fish are going deep. The southwest wind's pushing our temperature down, so I wouldn't fish anything higher than probably a 300 copper. And I'd keep it fairly simple. I'd do maybe two boards aside. I'd do maybe a 300 and a 400, something to that effect.
Right.
What I'm finding is that fishing so deep with so much line out that sometimes the more gear you put out, the more likely you are to get a tangle. When that fish hits, it has a lot of time to get underneath your boards by the time you get that fish under control.
Yep. So
So
you're
I would,
saying really you a couple a high and a low diver on each side and a rigger and any more than two boards is almost just asking for trouble is what you're saying.
I feel like that is. A lot of people run a lot of baits that aren't that effective. When the fish get down there 90, 100 feet, quite often people put boards out just to have lines in the water. But I think definitely sometimes less is more.
For sure, for sure. Well, and you can do a lot more precision turning, and you can do a lot more with your boat if you've only got three aside out, and they're all effectively fishing what you're referring to as the right zone, that 80 to 100 down. So, what are you running off of the high and low divers? What's been your set? I know you're running spin doctors and flies, and then on your rigger rod, what are you running?
Right now, I'm actually running spin doctors on those also. So I run three riggers on my boat.
Yep.
On my out and downs, my outside ones, I'm running the spin doctors with flies, and then on my center, I'm running a Magnum glow spoon of some sort, be
Oh
it
yeah.
either a moonshine or a silver streak or something glow. And
Yep.
then my high and low divers. Lately, I've been running meat on my low divers. Those are the Magnum divers, and then my highs I'm running spinnies and flies.
That's kind of a unique combination, but I like it because you're really showing them two utterly different types of presentations in that with the meat versus the fly. But you kind of learn a lot when you're doing that as to what the mood of the fish and what they're wanting is, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah. By say 9 o'clock in the morning, it's really apparent from day to day, but it changes almost daily. Also, some days I end up with 4 meat rigs on, and other days I end up with 4 flies on by the
Yeah,
time we're done.
yeah.
So you just kind of have to pay attention to those things.
Yeah, one of the other things that I know that we've watched you over the years do, and you've done it, you and Ellie have crushed fish in my boat over on Crystal Lake, and you've got a new little venture going on Crystal Lake. Talk to me about the charter fishing that you offer there at Crystal.
We do. We picked up a 23-foot center console this spring. We have licensed and insured. We can take up to 4 anglers on Crystal Lake, and it's about a 3 to 4 hour trip. We kind of can tailor that one more to the angler. If we have smaller people on board, quite often we'll do pan fishing. If we have experienced anglers on board that don't mind hanging out a little bit and have a little more patience, we also fish for those rainbow trout and coho and lake trout out there.
Yeah, and I know that John Jansen and his daughter joined you and Ellie last year, and that rock bass and perch fishing fishery there from late summer all the way deep into the fall is just nothing short of stupid bite. If you want to get kids into fishing, that's a bite that it's worth taking, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about as fast as you can go most days, weather permitting, of course. But being in the lake like that, we can always find a shoreline that's pretty calm.
Yep, and the Rockies fight like crazy. The perch fill your cooler up with some of the best eating fish anywhere in Michigan. So that's almost like the best of both worlds. It's so busy that you almost don't want them to bite, and at the same time you don't even realize it. But by the end of the day, you got a big cooler of perch sitting in front of you.
Yep, it's been a nice pick, but like you said, it's definitely more of a fall fishery for the good sized perch.
Yep.
I'd say September 1 right up until the snow flies is going to be your best bet for those.
Exactly, and I know you've been poking around thinking about doing some ice fishing too, and as the fall progresses, we'll talk to you again about where that's headed and what opportunities people have to join you on there. But Dave, thanks again for the fishing report out of Frankfort, Benzie County. We'll look forward to your posts, and we'll wish you and your wife and you yourself in the big Frankfort tournament coming up at the end of August. We asked to jump in your boat. We'll see what your wife says. She can say yes or no. That's always up to her. You know, the women's prerogative.
I'm not sure you'd be able to handle them, John.
Well, hopefully I won't have to. You're on board. But Dave, thanks again, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Have a good day.
You bet. So just to recap a little, I know one of the things that Dave has done really well has been to run these Magnum spoons. Now, this is a great big Dreamweaver Magnum in the glow. Now, this is glow and green, and this glow side here is really critical as you get down into that 80 to 100 foot. That's really, really important that you have that contrast. It helps those fish pick out the baits. He was referring to a spin doctor. In case you're new to our program, this is a spin doctor. It's a Dreamweaver. It's a rotating paddle, if you will, and it really does a good job. I've got one all rigged up right here with a fly. You heard Dave talking about flies. This was that critical color with the dots, and we'll show it to you right there, and it changes colors as it rotates. You see me turning it. It actually becomes blue, and then it becomes purple and white, and then you slide down. This is the fly, and the fly is nothing but a bunch of glittery-looking tinsel with a great big treble hook buried right into it. And those Lakers and coho and kings swim up to that fly, and they crush it. And when they crush it, they get a mouthful of treble hooks, and hopefully you're able to keep them on. Now, a couple other baits that work really well, Super Slims. This is a Super Slim right here. This is a great lake trout bait. And then this is just a mid-sized spoon. You're going to want to have a splash of UV and brightly colored spoons in your box. Thanks again for watching us here on the Great Lakes Insider Fishing Report, coming to you from Benzie, Frankfort, in the northwest corner of Lower Michigan.